Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to War Hospital. It's episode number 20. Last time I was really focused on when's that chapter event going to kick off, the one that's going to give us a challenge, create a whole bunch of new casualties that are going to be difficult to deal with, create a set of processes that we're going to have to navigate and get through in a timely manner to deal with that problem and be able to set up cruise control towards the end of the chapter. This time I'm not going to worry about that, at least not for a while. To my knowledge, it hasn't happened yet. We've had one possibility, but there was more than one thing per chapter prior to. One key event. I don't think we've had our key event. We have had a minor event in the least that has had to do with a German attack that's enclosed our flanks, and we've had to send now 3 platoons to other parts of the front to assist with recovering or holding territory. For now, that's that big key that we are dealing with. However, more pressing matters for this episode are that we are moments away from a battle that we're well prepared for, but we're not quite prepared for the following one. So we're going to need to not only deal with the fallout of this upcoming battle, but we're also going to have to prepare for that next one, which looks like we're pretty close to being ready. We have just 3 patients waiting, but our general surgeons are a little bit on the tired side, and we don't have a lot of surgical supplies. We've had so many general surgery patients of late. It's been really hard to try to keep up with that one, but we are doing okay in the other 2 wards, and all of our other materials are doing just fine. We're not running short of anything except for maybe staff points, where we only have 5. 4 surgeries happening right now, and one of them moments away from being done. A couple research upgrades happening right now. The last thing we need to check on before I unpause is this guy. It looks like I've already made the adjustment. So we have 2 assigned to the cemetery, 12-hour shifts, and we are prepared for the battle to come. So let's see what happens.
Cursed Germans! They're dropping gas!
Here we go, it's on. Nice if we had the intel, but we'd also have the wherewithal to wear protective masks, wear the pro masks prior to the incoming battle.
Report?
Our forces in the northwest and northeast retreated there. There were efforts to launch a counterattack, but it was only partially successful. We regained some ground to the northwest.
According to the report, we lost the entire eastern distributory, and the areas north of the river around the western distributory. And Elendes Levasses Lake. This does not look good, sir.
Alright, we've got a lot of wounded, we've got a lot of guys being carried into the rear trench areas, and those numbers are piling on fairly quickly already, above 20. Let's deal with our positive events before anything times out or you get glitches. The initial count was 26, but the medic teams are out there. They've already picked up at least 1, possibly more. They might have as many as 8, which would have us somewhere around 33 total patients for this one. We'll see how quickly they can operate and get them taken care of. Unfortunately, there it goes. Now it's working. New bug. I think through the recent steam cookers, construction was finished. So another upgrade is complete. That's going to leave us with some available engineers. The main project, the big one, is still being completed. And as for the scouting, that's a big project. We don't want to start any new big ones in the short term. Truck garage enhancement 2. Not that I think we need it right now, but that's a possibility as it is a short timer. There we go. Decrease the amount used. Hot beverage dispensers. Use less food. Makes perfect sense to create those rations. Alright, first patients already coming back in from the trenches. They're being brought in pretty quick and already loaded up into ambulances. So you can see the first ambulance is being cleared, and that's our first wave of patients just minutes after the battle. Or, well, I suppose it's not minutes, it's probably more like an hour or 2. First patients are chemical related, though. Scout leading the evacuation. Villagers protest at first, but then start to cooperate. Part of their possessions is better than none of them. The scout commander looks at his watch. They have little chance of beating the deadline, but now he can only hope that the evacuation forces will wait for them in case they are late. The deadline is long past when the scouts and villagers make it to the first evacuation point. Clearing is empty, marked with tire tracks and broken carts on the side, many full of abandoned possessions. Scout commander looks at the villagers and then checks his watch. He creates a plan. If nothing unexpected happens, they can make it to the second evacuation site. They will need to hurry, but they could reach it in time. For the moment, CCS is completely clear, but we do have an ambulance waiting for our teams to come pick them up. And the EDS, or ADS, is cleared out pretty quickly here. Impressive stuff. Definitely still needing more points at the front. I'm putting 5 more in there for now. The rest all going to HQ, which is about 10 to 12 points additionally there. Definitely sending majority as we're close, but we'll have to keep working on that to make sure we get that number above that threshold sooner rather than later. And see just how quickly our medic teams are bringing them into the ADS and then turning right around and being able to load some of them in. Though it's awkward that, we're going to carry that one just straight on in. And medic teams, 2, right on their way. Love to see that. Quickly dealt with. And that's going to give us new patients. This must be the cemetery crew. 3 new patients, all in the chemical ward. Bit too straightforward on that one. That's a strange one, but it is what it is. We'll go with the shortest one there. And that's going to have us go through those resources really quick, but at least that's going to be a bunch of successful, probably, surgeries. New ambulance coming in from a different part of the front, where we're starting to get a collection of wounded here at the ADS, and just 11 left in the trenches. We seem to have gotten through all of those chemical ward type patients, as we're now seeing surgery ward, so some general ones, and they've already mostly recovered, prepared for this shift. We're down to the last half hour of rest here for Vermount, while the other 2 are already recovered. So with those first 2, we'll put it on the 2 that are recovered and begin a new shift for all to get through those. Biggest problem, though, is the limited number of supply. Next 4 patients from the ADS are in. Numbers are at 12 out there, by the way, so it's coming down pretty quick. That's 4 more in the chemical ward. Unfortunately, we're down to just 15 supply, but with 4 doctors, it's all going to be easy enough to deal with. It's just that's 17. We only have 15, so we're already finding ourselves a little bit short. If I do not have any chemical supply being crafted, we're going to have to make sure we get that taken care of. So I think now's a good time to check on it, and we do. In fact, there's 1 of the 2 we needed already. Trauma and surgical supplies both on the go right now. Last time we had a mission to send 10 troops to HQ for some staff contracts. We've completed that. So we add 2 more staff contracts now, up to 7. And with down to just 8 in the trenches, just 5 waiting on medic teams. These guys are going to be done fairly soon. We're down to 2 here, so we are going to have to start shifting them back, but as close to being done as they are, we'll just wait for them to finish and hope that they do manage to do so. Magic numbers down to 11 out here at the ADS, with 7 left in the trenches, just 4 here. An ambulance is heading in to bring them to the CCS. We're down to those 6 supply. Pretty iffy through there. We've had nothing for the trauma ward. And with just 2 teams, all of a sudden the CCS is not keeping up. We're having to wait a little bit on... the hot beverage dispenser's construction was finished. And we're also about to finish our other project here as well. We're going to give a little bit of a rest period for all of them, as they, all 6 of those engineers working, have been working hard for a while. So, field request the actions, duties, 2 staff contracts, 2 more, 11. We just jumped to 11 staff points and 116 military drafts. Wow. There was a VIP one in there. We're 13-0 on the day as well. And so far, we are doing really well with this. We're down to the 5 in the trenches, down to the 6 wounded left there. And I think we're going to have to start shifting. Yeah, now those 2 are exhausted. So we're going to pull 2 teams into here. And the one that's most tired plus the one that's now rested. So there's our first changeover on that. Meanwhile, we have these 2 rested, but I'm only going to swap out one of them for now. Put the other at the rehab center, as she was already tired. You can see a little bit more tired than that. Okay, back here. Halted because, right, the nurse changeover. So adding more points in. Going a little heavier on the send of the trenches this time around, but still putting a slight majority. Plenty of time till the next fight. That last scout task is now complete, so there has been no follow-up with that one. It is done. I think that's where we got some of those staff contracts from. Our ADS is down to that bare minimum, just 4 left. None in the trenches. This is going to be clear real soon, and we'll be able to shift back into, or transition back into the shift system here shortly. Chemical ward, 1 new one. We have 1 rested, so we can go there. We do have a trauma patient finally. All 3 are well rested. They haven't had anything to do in quite a while. This one's critical. This is one that would have died any and every other time. We managed to get them out of there this time around without issue. Let's start the shift here. Let's drop this down to 2 more here and get that exhausted one out of there. While we're not caught up on the CCS, we're going to be caught up here real soon, especially as we shift a couple more teams into the CCS. They will very quickly deal with everything in the ambulances and, you know, the last few coming out. I think we've probably gotten just about enough rest in for engineers. Now that we have the big project done, what is the follow-up one? Increase production speed in both the engineering depot and pharmacy. That makes perfect sense to me. So we will definitely get on with that project, and you can see how it's taking less time. This would have been an 8-hour assignment, so it cut down by over an hour. We'll put 3 of them on that. Looks like they are all rested, so we can immediately get another project. Rehab center is really close to full as we get through surgeries fast and have a lot more doctors. There's a lot more patients going to the rehab center. And I only have 1 to maybe 2 nurses there, usually 1. So they kind of go through pretty slow. So this is going to be a good one to get opened. That's going to help us out, that rehab center. 10 extra beds so it doesn't get overloaded. I think that would have been a 24-hour project cut down to 19, and with 3 of them cut down to 14 hours. Still those last 3 at the ADS, but there's medic teams in the area. Finally clearing out these couple ambulances. There's enough other things going on there that, no, even then we still only got 1 of them. A patient who was being transported died from their wounds, and the ambulance just pulled away. There was 1 patient left in there. We never got him out. So we lost 1 patient from this battle so far, and we're down to the last few, and most of them are just like all in the last minute or so have been transported in. Not enough supplies here, but they're looking fine to make it. This is the trickier one. We do have 34 supplies, so at least there's that, but yeah, these guys weren't here, and they're all good. We had 1 critical and or terminal patient, and we just never got to him. They left him sitting there for a while. Still at 3. Finally, we're grabbing 1 of them out there. We've had more being brought to us from the front. Not totally sure where they're coming from. They're not showing up on anything. Team's kind of just moving back and forth. There we go. Ambulance. Serious patient. Let's get to them. That's the last one in the ambulance. We're down to the last one in the ADS, which means there's got to be 2 on the move here. Awaiting burials down to 0, so we've got that all cleaned up, by the way. There's nothing happening at the cemetery, and I suppose that makes sense because we've only lost 9 the entire chapter so far. Took too long on getting to this nurse. She ended up collapsing. That's going to leave her out of things for a while. We do now finally have enough points heading to the front for the next battle. It's taken care of. It's strong. Put another 8 points or so back towards the front, and it's back to good. So,
Sir,
or
may
strong,
I inform
that
you
is.
that I left a personal recommendation note with one of the patients who was recently
VIP?
brought to the casualty clearing station.
New patients starting to come in from other areas of the front, but with our ADS cleared and down to a small amount at the CCS, this is going to be easy enough to deal with. It looks like our VIP's in the trauma ward, which is not a problem because we've had one patient in the trauma ward this whole time. Easy to deal with, not a strain on our resources. We're just covering off those chemical supplies. Those surgical ones are hurting. And we lost a patient during operation. That's the first today. We only had one in the last episode. That's the normal. It was that episode before where we had a large number of events and we lost quite a few. We lost 6 for the episode, and I don't want to say 5 of those, maybe it was 4, was on the operating table. Electronic mixing machines construction finished. We'll give them a little bit of time to recover before we send them back out here. Big CCS upgrade, I think, is a good option. Kind of get us into that final stage. They have just a few minutes left on their rest, so I think we picked a good time on that one. Almost fully recovered. That is going to take them a while, 23 hours with 3 of them, plus some rest time, so it's going to take them more than a day to complete it. 130 and 10, a little bit of a milestone. It's not 150, but it is 140, and very even, clean numbers. A 13-to-1 ratio on those saved, and today a 22-to-2 ratio, also 11-to-1. So just about at the same ratio as we've had throughout the chapter here. New patients brought in via train, and we've got at least one VIP in the bunch. Couple chemical 2 VIPs in the bunch, so that's actually going to be really good for us. Chemical supplies are something we're a bit short of, though. It's going to take a little bit of time to get those 2 treated. We might need to order some supplies here instead of the constant hurry up and wait. We might as well use some of what we have. Alcohol actually is really low too, so we're going to restock on that and order at least 10 supplies. That's going to use 17 contracts. Why don't we make that even 20? Further, a few patients coming in as we cleared out that train. Train's gone now. It looks like we have some staff management to take care of here. Medics are back on their 12-hour shifts, so they're fine. The engineers have long since been on their 12-hour shifts, so they're fine. It's the nurses, our collapsed ones, still resting. They collapse. They're out for nearly a day. That's the thing about the microbandaging. You got to be careful. We're gonna go ahead and rest both of them and keep an eye on that one. But with 11 contracts, I think what we need to be doing is we might need to hire a couple of nurses. 2 for now. We'll take 2. We'll spend 4 contracts on them. There's more bonuses to be had. A lot of new pending patients. We've already improved to strong, so we don't need to send much. We'll send like 4 more points to the front for now, because knowing that the next one's probably not going to be in a strong state, everything else is going to HQ. 2 more patients in the surgery ward, putting us below that threshold, but our delivery has not come in yet. Should be here inside an hour. In the meantime, we've completed the task for our third platoon to the front. They haven't immediately asked for a 4th, so I'm wondering if we've completed that portion of the chapter. Speaking of portion of the chapter, let's see what's going on here. There's the new one. 4th platoon needed. And also new patients coming in both directions. One train has brought in a number of patients. We've also had an ambulance coming direct. We did get those supplies. We can see just how quickly we're already... Well, it just didn't make a very big dent, really, is all. And with those new patients, and we still have this ambulance waiting. They sent us new patients once again. We are now at that 150 landmark with saving 140 of them. Scout event, second evacuation site. There was no new in-between scenarios that popped up, so we'll see. Just barely meeting the deadline, scout team and the villagers reach the second evacuation site. Most of the trucks have already left, as the French forces did not want to risk being bombarded by artillery. The evacuation site is now nearly in range of their artillery, and they could mistake the evacuation for a military operation. Quickly turns out that even if most of the villagers' possessions were to be abandoned, there would still not be enough room for almost 30 villagers. The French officer tells the scouts that the remaining villagers must make the journey on their own, but the commander knows that most of them have no way of surviving that long of a journey. He looks at the villagers. There were simply too many elderly and children to even load all of them onto the trucks. Give shelter to all the remaining villagers in the hospital. That's 30 people. That's going to burn through some food, but it will provide us 10 military contracts plus a morale boost. Give shelter to the villagers that will not survive the journey in the hospital. That was 15 with 4. And offer some supplies and send the villagers on their way. That's 15 supplies. We would get 2. Take them all in. We can handle it. The food part's not that bad. It's 47, but it's not that bad. We have so much supply. Finally joining the rest, the nurses, now that we have 2 extra, there is enough here. The last one that's collapsed, it keeps taking longer than it should. But she'll be back in action soon, and we'll add her to the rehab center. What's also happening as a result, being able to get them on the shift system without that micromanaging, I'm actually finally able to place them in the one that they prefer to be in, which helps their morale, helps their efficiency, adds more bonuses. At the same time, we lose bonuses just a little bit out of it, as the diversion of the staff. But that puts us there, and she wants to be on second shift, so we're good. This one prefers to be, so let's see how you're getting boost morale. No preference, no preference, no preference. Okay, this one wants to be at the CCS, so that's something we would want to swap. Do we have a no preference? Prefer not to work in the CCS. Now I have them all maneuvered around. I'd like to get that one more for the operating ward. I'd certainly like to open up those slots and put us in a stronger position, but you can see that at least for part of the day here, we're going to have bonuses at the rehab center, and we're not going to have to worry about managing those nurses any longer. Next upgrade, rehab center 2. So we just added the 10 beds there. Construction finished. We do have 16 patients here. A lot of them are waiting for that, so let's give them a little bit more to the front. With that rehab center advancement, we now have some TB vaccinations with a 25% increase to patient rehab, and will only take 5.5 hours to complete as well, so pretty easy. Dispatch on C.S. Lewis, 2 more staff points. That's good. We did just split second before that pop up. We did lose a patient during operation, so our second one lost, third one overall for the episode. That was just as would have been our 150, but we hold at 149 for now. We do have an ambulance coming in, but the CCS is nearly empty. ADS is empty. Trauma supply right on top of that one. Chemical supply is starting to get in a better state. There's that 150th patient. Finally, that next battle starts to show up on our timeline. It's nearly 3 days apart. Very nearly 3 days apart. Though we're going to need a lot more soldiers at the front. We've got so much time to get them there. Meanwhile, rehab center, a few more to choose from, so start pushing those numbers up a little bit. CCS is completely empty for the time being. Checking back in on our assignments, we do have 1 exhausted nurse. She was on this shift. She was in pretty bad shape, so she didn't get a chance to really fully recover. But we'll see her probably, if she makes it through this shift without problem anyway. be in a better state the next time around. But these guys are finishing up a rest to continue on with their advancement, and we have 2 hours till this group is ready to go. So at about 4 a.m. we'll want to start our next project. Personal letter, nothing changes. That's it. Just nothing. Okay. Oh, we saved Private Ryan. Well, that's good. We saved Private Ryan. Tom Hanks is the man. Actually, okay. Let's hold that thought. We'll slow down to normal speed here. Saving Private Ryan came out when I was in high school, and I was a history teacher for 10 years before I turned around and opened the daycare. So that's my area. The teacher who got me there, the teacher who motivated me, it was during my U.S. history class when Saving Private Ryan had been out in theaters and then came out on video. There was a big extra credit thing to, permission slips and all that, but to sit down and watch. And oh my goodness, that was so impactful. And of course, having heard, while it's partially fictional and a little bit mix of non-fiction, in terms of the accuracy of getting the feel right, Saving Private Ryan is absolutely up there as one of the greatest films of all time, and for me, it's my number one. It is my number one, hands down. That opening sequence is, well, technically second sequence, but everybody considers it opening sequence, is unmatched in the history of cinema, in my opinion. Alright folks, well, the CCS is completely clear. The operating ward is completely clear, and we've got a couple of hours till the next fight. We're going to want to do what we did before, of course, and shift a number of medic teams to the ADS, but now, for the first time, the nurses are dealt with and properly on the shift system. We still have a shortage of supplies here, but we've cleaned things up, and for the next little bit, for these next few hours without any patients, it's going to be a good opportunity. We're seeing the chemical supplies nearly get out of that low threshold. Surgical supplies would definitely take a bit more, and yeah, maybe we need to spend some military drafts to order some additional. I mean, we do have 148. We have plenty, but we do have a camp improvement. This is going to be the last thing we do for this episode, is make this assignment. So CCS, ongoing, can't do anything down that area, and it looks like what we're into next, besides knocking out emergency measures, which I'm really not a huge fan of, is going to be the surgery ward enhancement. Another big long one, but 2 more surgeons unlocked in general surgery, but also nurses for the surgery ward. And I think that's what's been kind of missing on that one to get. We're also down to just a few more in production, like 4 or 5 more, and then just 3 more in scouting. We are nearly done with the research tree, which, I mean, it is chapter 3, but we are knocking it out pretty dang quickly here. So the big question is, do we go for the big one where we already have a big one going, or do we start knocking out a few of these final ones? We had there. Let's get the easy emergency measures out of the way. I kind of like the idea of doing one big project at a time and not necessarily 2 big projects simultaneously, or unless you're only overlapping a little bit. Finish that up in 2 hours, and all of a sudden you're down to a 5-hour or less window, and then it seems to make a little more sense where you're not overlapping quite as bad. But anyway, this has been good. Yeah, we lost 3 patients, 2 on the operating table. That wasn't great, but we saved 55. 55 and 3. That's a good day. That's a good day. Didn't bother about it this episode, but still no sign of some sort of event trigger that makes the chapter necessarily more challenging. Yes, they want us to send troops to other parts of the front. For me, that hasn't been a big deal. That's been pretty dang easy to do. But I suppose the challenge is that you're supposed to send so many to the other parts of the front while needing a lot more on the front ourselves. Is that the challenge of the chapter? Maybe it is, but with this kind of ratio, and only losing one patient this last battle. We lost one. And we were so close. So close. It was the ambulance. He was stuck in the ambulance. If they would have just got him off and into the CCS, they probably would have prolonged life a little bit longer, and we would have been able to bump him right to the top of the list, and we might have been able to save him. But we lost one patient in that last battle. Next battle's coming, though, so we still never know when we're going to suddenly have a 60 patient kind of battle and have our hands full once again. But our medic teams are handling things well thus far, or in recent times, since we got it fully unlocked. That's going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.